Me and the missus have come over to Daymark Tower in the background here. This is out on the South Devon coast, just outside Brixham. This is a first for me. I've not been here before. I've seen loads of pictures of it, but I've been meaning to come here for quite a while. But I wanted to wait until we had these fields of wheat, and you can see the wind. It's not very windy, but it's enough to kind of make it move around. And I wanted to wait specifically till this crop was ready, if you like, to give me that sort of movement and to give me some foreground and some interesting sort of foreground for the picture. Like I say, I've seen shots of this tower before where it's obviously sort of bare ground and they look okay, but I just think it needs something a little bit sort of special in the foreground to kind of lift it up a bit. So yeah, I've come over. It's evening, kind of mid-June. The sun's dropping out to the right of the tower, so I'm shooting on 4x5, as you can see in the background. It's the Intrepid Mark IV. I've brought one film stock with me, which is Fuji Provia 100. I haven't used this film for many years. I used to use it back in the sort of film days, mainly in sort of medium format. But it's a nice film. It's very sort of greeny blue bias, quite a cool sort of tone to it, rather than Velvia, which I normally use. Velvia is quite warm, but I thought tonight with the sun dropping anyway, it's going to be sort of warm tones anyway. But the Provia, it just gives it a bit more of a natural look rather than sort of too oversaturated. So that's the plan. I've got 6 sheets of Provia, so I've got the camera set up now. I've got my 150mm lens, and you can see just behind me here this little track in the wheat field. I'm going to use that as a lead-in line with the tower in the background. I'm going to try an upright composition and some sort of horizontal shots as well. But I'm just waiting for the sun to drop, and this will all be sort of side lit then, and obviously the tower as well. When the sun drops a little bit more, I've got my digital set up with me as well, so I'm probably going to carry on shooting past the sunset and hopefully get it sort of popping through the archway of the tower there as well. So I'm going to get set up, make sure I've got everything in place, and then just wait and enjoy this evening. Good old hay fever. Yeah. I do get hay fever, but I'm not suffering so much this year. But Justina seems to be sneezing away in the background.
Oh, you're talking to them?
Yeah.
Oh.
Have you got a hanky?
No.
Filtration wise, I'm got to be careful tonight. This is kind of prime polarizer weather, but it's quite a deep blue sky, and with a wide lens, you've got to be quite careful with the polarizer not to get this uneven polarization where you get kind of a blob in the middle. Everything's side lit, so a grad I'm not going to need. So I'm going to set up a shot first with the polarizer in place and have a look on the ground glass just to see what I'm getting with the polarizer. But I don't think I'm going to need one, but I'll give it a go. Focusing's tricky on this one because I've got quite a straight building. I need to keep it's not straight, it's tapered at the top, which makes it even more tricky. But I need to obviously keep that building upright. But I've also got the foreground as well that I want to sort of lead into the shot. So I'm having to stop down to about f/45 for this shot. I've used some movements. I've used quite a bit of rise, so I've risen the lens up at the front. I've also used a little tiny bit of forward tilt to get the foreground nice and sharp. And I've also let the back out as well, so a little bit of sort of rear tilt as well, just to get all those lines straight and to get my focusing sort of spot on. So hopefully this will work out. Still waiting for the sun to drop, but I've got here in plenty of time, so I'm not too panicked at the moment. as I've said in previous videos, slide film, transparency film, is quite unforgiving when it comes to exposure. So you've got to be pretty spot on. Hence why I've brought 6 sheets. Out of the 6 sheets, I'm aiming for sort of 2 compositions. So I want to bracket a little bit, especially if I'm going to use a polarizer on some of them. But obviously I want to vary my compositions a bit. I want to try a portrait format shot, but also a landscape format shot as well. So exposure wise, I'm using my DSLR as a meter. Not ideal, but yeah, it should be okay. So I'm going to take some meter readings when the sun drops a little bit more. I'm just waiting for that kind of golden light, that final hour, that golden hour if you like, before I start shooting. Again, I said previously I'm going to be shooting at f/45, so my shutter speeds are going to be quite long. Provia is 100 speed film, so I'm going to rate it at 100. But with the small aperture and obviously the lower light when I come to shoot, this wheat field in the foreground is going to be swaying around. But that's what I wanted. So. I'm not too bothered about the movement. That's kind of the point. My composition wise, I've got down a little bit lower now, so I want this wheat sort of filling the frame in the foreground with the tower in the background. It looks like it's going to be a clear blue sky with no clouds, which is a bit of a pain, but can't have everything. The polarizer at the moment is picking out some of the clouds on the horizon, so it's given it a little bit of interest, but I've cropped in quite tightly in the sky of the shot, so there's not much above the top of the tower. It's more about the foreground. Everything's locked down now. You can see by the light on my face and on the wheat here that it's dropped quite a bit now. I've skipped forward about an hour, so I've been set up. I daren't move the camera. It's got a really nice composition here, so I reckon within the next 10 minutes or so I'm going to start shooting. Wind's picked up a little bit, but that's good. I'm not too bothered about that. All the grasses, all the wheat swaying, so that's what I was hoping for. So yeah, good stuff. My meter reading is on my DSLR. I'm getting an 1/8 of a second at f/22. Now I'm at f/45 on here, so that's another 2 stops. So that's 1/8, quarter, half a second. I'm then going to have to factor in the polarizer. Normally it's about 2 stops, but I'd like to underexpose it a little bit, so another stop for that. So half a second to 1 second. 1 second at f/45 will be my sort of base exposure. I'm then going to sort of bracket. I'll probably bracket over that, so 2 seconds, and then maybe sort of underexpose as well, so half a second. Okay, so side by side on the table, on the light table. Both these shots I've out of the whole 6 exposure, 6 frames, got about 4 usable frames. These 2 are the better sort of exposures, and obviously these are my portrait format and my landscape format shot. I want to pull these 2 up just to sort of discuss these, which I prefer. Personally, I prefer the portrait format. I just like the way you've got this kind of walk-in effect, which I like to kind of achieve with a wider lens. As you can see, pathway that goes through the wheat field there. It's more defined than in the landscape shot. Both shots are good. I mean, exposure wise, they're kind of nigh on perfect. Sharpness wise, all good. Right from the sort of foreground to the tip of the tower. Yeah, I'll put these up now, see what you think. But yeah, like I say, me personally, I prefer the upright one. Let me know what you think. Right, I'm going to head off now. I've got some more sort of digital stuff to shoot as well. I might put some of those up in a bit so you can see those. Right, I'm going to go and find my other half now, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.